Okay, folks. So I guess this will probably end up being the third of and probably the last video on the Raspberry Pi IoT server. So I ended up doing a quick video just setting up your XPs. One is coordinator, so your coordinator here, and then one as a router. I then did one to show you how we could toggle a pin on the Arduino on and off. Also, how we could know the state of the pin. That would have been the second video, and then this one, let's figure out how we can now set the color on an RGB LED. And I have one here, and I have these here. And if you do a search for NeoPixels, there are all kinds of NeoPixels. So, but they're pretty fun to use. We use them. So what I did was I used some leftover scrap when I put up our cedar fence, and I built housings for custom lights, and these are just old Skippy peanut butter jars. And inside are these NeoPixels. And then I bored down. I have a wiring harness that goes, 8 feet in between all of the lights. And when they're lit up at night, I only have 2 NeoPixels in each. They're pretty bright, although you can get much brighter ones. I think they have 3-watt versions, and these are probably about 1/3 of a watt. So I might have a 1/2 watt in here. And again, you can get singles that are 3 watts, or rings, or what have you. So there's a whole bunch if you do a search on them. All right. So let's look at the code here. So what I did was I just created 2 new files. So I have app1 and main1. And that way, the original main and original app was the code that would toggle the LED, and this one will be just to handle the light. So the only thing I needed to add was the Adafruit NeoPixel library, and I used most of the code from one of the examples. We're going to have data in on pin 7. You'll notice you have data in, and then you have ground, and then you have 5 volts in, and then you have data out, ground out, and 5 volts out. So you can chain these together. And notice the gauge of the wire that they are using here. I used 20 gauge to make my wiring harnesses, so the signal would be able to span 8 feet, and it works fine. This looks like it's maybe even beefier than that. It might just be the picture. But 20 gauge worked fine for me, and that was with them being 8 feet apart. So let's see here. We only have one. If you had a chain of them, you put how many you have here. This will hold our color. So let's see, nothing else here. I just start off when we load the code. Start off with 000 for the RGB. And that just turns them off. We begin and then show the strip. Set color is just a function to just do that, to set the actual color. And then we loop. So instead of only grabbing in the LED video, we just grabbed this first byte, and in that first byte was a 7, is what we ended up using to toggle pin 7. But in this case, we have to grab the bytes at 0, 1, and 2 because they're going to hold our RGB value, and then we can just set the RGB. Now, if you want to send data back, right, so our system, when I go on, we can tell not only if the lights are on, but we know what color they are, and that is because I send the data back and then update the HTML page. And that code is right here for you. Also, the checksum code is right here, and I found this. I forget who posted it, but somebody posted this C code out on the internet. Now, again, for you folks, if you're doing this in Arduino, just copy everything. So everything except for that for the first header, and you can run this just fine inside of the Arduino IDE. Let's see here. Okay, that's about it for that. And again, that would be under main 1. So we can close that up. Now under app 1, I'm going to use jQuery on the HTML page. So I created another alias here for the jQuery library. let's see here. I added a update Neo socket.on, and then we call the update Neo library. We're going to pass the hex triplet from the HTML page to our back end. And from here, get rid of that. It was just an example of what the hex triplet would look like. This would be red. So let me leave it there. So it comes through, and then what we want to do is we want to break this down into 3 chunks, because FF would be the R, 00 would be the G, and then the last 00 would be the B, so RGB. And we end up just creating a byte array. And then we pass that byte array to our frame object. And I decided for this, instead of actually building the packets on the fly, for my own system, I build the packets on the fly, but it's a lot easier just to use this. But I did put the code. If you look under XB Helper, it's the same, pretty much the same code in C. It's a little bit different, but the same idea for building a checksum, and it's a heck of a lot of examples on XB's website on how to do it too. So then we just write it out. So we just write it off, and that's it. It's that simple. Nothing else changed. Let's look at the HTML file. So I did change that just a little bit, and the only thing we did was I added this form, and we just have a simple send button. And I use jQuery, although you could just capture a click event if you wanted to on a button, if you did want to include jQuery. And then it just does an emit to our update Neo and passes that hex triplet. So it's that simple. So let's go ahead and run it. Make sure that it works. It's actually already running, so you only have to you'll do npm run start 1 for this one. Start would be the LED code. And then if we look at our front end here, that would be over here. We can now send our hex triplets. So let's do FF 0000. So that'll be red. And there's our red. 00FF00 will be green. And 0000FF would be blue. And obviously that's boring, because you want to send different colors, right? So you can pick any cool color you want and pass that. You don't want the hash sign. You just want the value. And you can paste that in and go ahead and send that. And you'll notice I had you don't want the hash sign. Let's try that again. That wasn't the color. Let me try that one more time. I don't know what I did. Let's see here. It should be. All right, let's try that. There it is. It's funny. I had done our system years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, for our posts when I was first trying to figure out how to send these values. It's still fun doing it now, which is pretty funny. The other thing of interest is that you can have what? You can have 255 colors. You can't use 0, so 255 colors for R, for G, and for B. So the number of different colors that you could set these pixels to is 255 times 255 times 255. And I'm assuming that's in the 14 million range, I think it is. Uh, 16 million. So you've got 16 million different colors you can send to these. So you might want to get coding so you can try them all out. Good luck.